Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Community Church. We are a welcoming congregation where we strive to transform ourselves and the world through love, wonder, and connection. My name is Peter Defer. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I serve as worship associate this morning, no matter what it says on any piece of paper. I also sing in the choir, like I just did, play hymn jam, serve on the tech team, and do other sorts of sordid things around the church. This month, our theme is the practice of trust. Today, we will be reflecting on what it means to trust in ourselves and how to trust that hope for the future is founded in reality. Our opening song, the choir just sang, reminds us that we are not powerless even as the branch is unsteady beneath us, because we have wings to rise up and take action. Now, the reason I brought this to the podium is to remind you to turn it all the way off in order to improve bandwidth reception and transmission to all our wonderful members out there in Wi-Fi land. Now that I've said that little public announcement, somebody from the stewardship committee is due up here. Anyone from the stewardship committee? Oh, the chair! It's Mrs. Murphy! Oh.
Thank you, Peter.
Certainly.
Good morning. My name is Gail Murphy. I use she, her pronouns. I am a risk justice minister, serve on the finance committee, and am chair of the stewardship committee. As you know from being in the UUCC orbit, we are in the midst of the stewardship campaign. In fact, today is the last official day of the campaign. More on that in a moment. During the campaign, we revealed the board's pledge fundraising goal for the church, $400,000. We also featured skits with Amy, our homegrown road runner, who drove up and down Cawthorn and Knuckles, picking up hitchhikers. Our hitchhikers informed us of the importance to them of attending UUCC, the goals of the board, and an example of what one of our programs, Music and Arts, does and hopes to do with operational funding. The Stewardship Committee also sponsored a kickoff event that featured a beautiful charcuterie table, visiting with friends and other members, and answering 3 key questions. People who were unable to attend the event were invited to share their thoughts on the matter as well. A summary of the answers will be presented to the board to help guide them in goal setting, but here are a few responses. What are you grateful for at UUCC? Community, social activities, the music program. I mean, of course there are more responses. I'm just giving you a few. What would you like to see at UUCC? More children and families, adult Sunday school. What are you longing for at UUCC? There were suggestions made about the physical space, for example, the kitchen, the lobby, and elevator, more growth and outreach, and suggestions about social action activities. Some of the suggestions come with a price tag. If we want to become the church we would like to be, if we would like to do the outreach necessary to further grow and thrive, if we would like to expand on the offerings available in our programs, we will need to fund them. Additionally, we need to fund the staff who will oversee the projects we dream of implementing. It all starts with pledging. At this point, 63%, or $251,633 of the $400,000 of the fundraising goal has been pledged. Yay. Remember, you're being asked to pledge for next fiscal year, July 2025 to June 2026. We are not asking for the money now. The reason we ask for your funding commitments now is so the Finance Committee and the board can create a budget that is realistic for the income we expect to receive. The stewardship campaign officially ends today. We will follow up with folks who we haven't heard from to make sure you're okay, and please don't hide from us. We're just simple volunteers. After the service ends, we hope you will join the stewardship committee, and if people from stewardship are here, please stand for a Okay, awesome. We hope you'll join us and enjoy a piece of cake to celebrate our successes and to thank those of you who have already pledged, to thank those of you who have yet to pledge but are planning to do that soon, and to thank you all for reading our notices in the e-news and the Stew News and the emails. And thank you to all who have offered ideas for building the congregation we want to become. In closing, one word comes to mind: community. It's baked into our name. It's what we do, and now it's what we must fund. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Murphy. There's an Irish song about Mrs. Murphy, which is why I've made that reference. Whether you are here for the first time, and I see what I think are some first-time visitors, or for the 1,000th time, whatever you're facing in your own life, we welcome you. This is a place where we try our best to be real with one another, to get through hard things together, and to remind ourselves and one another of the values that ground us and center and motivate us. And because we're all friends, and because we're all part of the community, would you please, this is a full flight this morning, make sure that we have room for some people. There are some empty chairs up here, so cuddle up together. Act like you're friends. Whoever you are, whatever your faith journey, whomever you love, you are welcome here. We welcome all who seek to know the sacred and all who seek to make our world more just. Our commitment is to be together in covenant, so please join me in our affirmation of who this community is, beginning with that all-important word: love is the message of this church, and service is our way. This is our great covenant together, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. If you'd like a care or a concern read by the minister and were unable to complete it online request during the week, please enter it in the chat box if you're online, or during the opening hymn, there are cards, and we will have it read during the appropriate hour. So now, let's rise and sing our opening hymn, Come Sing a Song with Me. It's number 46 in the gray hymnal. Jonathan will play, and 346, what did I say? 346, that's what I said. And the words will appear here.
I'm Reverend Sarah. I use she, her pronouns. Our chalice lighting words are from Reverend Lisa Day, and Peter will light our chalice. What if sometimes it's not about a light in the darkness? What if sometimes it's about sparking potential into possibility and possibility into existence? What if sometimes the flame that burns in the chalice of our faith is nothing less than the ember of hope and nothing more than love set ablaze? What if sometimes all we need to do is follow this flame, one among scores, hundreds, thousands of steadily flickering flames across the land and among so many peoples on the way to justice and into the land of peace? What if we dare to kindle that chalice? Please join me now in a time of meditation and prayer. Find a comfortable place for your body, whatever that means for you. Noticing your breathing, finding a center. Take a moment to just be and allow stillness to settle in. We hold in love and light this morning LaShawn Skuda and Ruth Wise after the passing of LaShawn's beloved father on Tuesday. They will remain in Illinois for the memorial service, which will be held next weekend. We hold in love and light the people of Ukraine, the people of Gaza, the people of Sudan. We hold in love and light the people around the world who are struggling without the assistance of U.S. aid. We hold in love and light all the federal workers who've lost their jobs and those who've been called back into service. We hold those who work under federal contracts who could lose their jobs or who have already for no discernible reason. We hold in love and light all who are living in uncertainty right now, which is so many of us as we live through this time of crisis. We hold those who are grieving and those who are celebrating. We hold us all. Amen. And we return to our centers of connection every week because we know these rituals bring us closer together, allow us to share the hope and joy, sorrows and fears that shape our lives. In the next few minutes of contemplative time, we'll be sharing together the experience of witnessing each other and of expressing our inner experience of joy and hope by lighting a candle, and expressing our inner experience of sorrow or fear by placing a stone. In a moment, I will invite folks here in the room to participate in this ritual, but first, for those of you online, we invite you to write your name and stone or candle in the chat box so we can include you in the ritual towards the end. And now, if you're in the room and would like someone to light a candle for you, because coming forward isn't going to work, please raise your hand and Peter will light a candle for you. Gail. And Tiara. Now, if you would like a stone placed for you, please raise your hand. And Susan. And Beth. And Diane. And now, if you'd like to participate in this ritual by coming forward, please rise. Candles on this side, Peter will hand you one. Come around, stones to this side, and you can switch between them. And now we will light a candle for Maria Al. For Cindy P. And Leslie A. We'll place a stone for Cindy P. and one for the Garcias. And now we place,
2 more stones, please.
excuse me, 2 more stones.
1 for Becky
One for Becky,
and 1 for Chris Johnson.
one for Chris J. And now we light a candle for all of the joys and hopes that are in our hearts that have not yet been shared. And we place one final stone so that all the weight and sorrow and fear that are within us can rest for a moment outside ourselves. Now I invite you to join in singing our sung prayer response, There is a Love.
And hi, my name is Adina Danuf. I use she or they pronouns, and I'm your Director of Lifespan Religious Exploration. And today, I'm going to show you some trust because I'm going to be vulnerable, and I'm going to talk about a childhood dream of mine. Get the slide ready because you see, when I was younger, I wanted to be a tightrope walker. I just loved the idea of getting up there on a tightrope and balancing it all. I love to imagine myself walking from one end to the other up on the wire, looking down and seeing all the tiny little faces. So when the circus came to town, I went and I told them, I want to be a tightrope walker. And they said, okay, let's do it. Because it was the 90s, a wild and different time. Also, random fun fact, the founder of the greatest show on earth was a Universalist, P.T. Barnum. Okay, but back to the story. So the people in the circus say, get up there and show us what you got. And I climbed that tall, tall ladder to the top, and I stepped onto the rope, and I fell. And I was embarrassed, but I was okay, because I trusted that there was a net down below, and there was, and it caught me. So I climbed all the way back up that tall ladder again, and I took a few steps on the tightrope, and I fell again. But the net was there, and I was still okay. Well, I kept working on it again and again, and I kept falling, but the net was there, and I got a little better each time. Now, a little side note here, if you know me, then you know that I am a talker. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Adina, and I am a talker. And the reason I bring this up is because I started telling people about this, right? Why wouldn't I? I was going to be a tightrope walker. And I kept practicing, and I kept telling people, and I kept falling, and I kept getting further and further along that rope. And finally, I told so many people that they actually wanted to see it for themselves. And I got so good, well, I hadn't actually made it all the way to the end of the rope yet, but I was really close. So I got confident and I was like, okay, I'll show you. So I invited a bunch of my family and friends and people from school and summer camp and church and the library down the street, and I told them to come see me walk on the tightrope one day. And they all showed up. And I climbed up that tall ladder and I got up on that rope that I had time and time again, and I started walking. And I don't know if you have ever heard the sage advice that kind of gets passed around when you're being up high that says, don't look down. So I'm walking and I'm not looking down. And as I'm doing this, I'm hearing oohs and ahs and and I'm thinking, oh, I'm really good. And I keep walking along and I keep hearing cheers and I'm getting more confident and I keep slowly making my way toward the other end of the rope. I am getting closer to the other end than I have ever been before. And I just know right there in front of all my friends and family and the people from school and church and the library and on the street, I'm going to finally make it. And then the rope snaps. And there in this moment, in falling, there's this moment that happens where everything sort of happens in slow motion. And so because I'm falling, I'm finally looking down. And because I'm looking down, I'm realizing that all of the commotion was that there is no net. But in that moment, I also noticed that all of my friends and my family and my people from school and church and camp and the library down the street are right there under me, ready to catch me. And they do. And as you've probably guessed by now, that is not a true story. But it also kind of was. You see, when I was younger, I always wanted to be a mom. I loved the idea of doing what moms do. I could do this. Yep. And balancing it all. I imagined myself in a rocking chair looking down and seeing tiny faces. So when I get to the point where I thought I was ready, I talked to my partner and he said, okay, let's do it. And one day it happened. I was happy and I was absolutely terrified too. Sorry. But I trusted the doctors and the people around me to help me through. So things went along in the pregnancy, and at the doctor, I found out that I have a medical condition. And not just because I'm pregnant, this is a lifelong condition, but we knew about it now and we could take care of it. And so we did. And I fell, and I trusted the doctors, and the net was there. And I got a little bit further along, and we realized I was having some pregnancy issues, and I needed a surgery to stay pregnant. I fell again. But I trusted the doctors, the net was still there, everything went well, and it was okay. And when I kept growing the baby and walking toward being a mom, you can show the slide now. At 26 weeks, Kylan was born. And I wasn't just going to be a mom anymore, I was a mom. But 26 weeks is very early, and we had a long way to go. So Kylan was in the hospital, she was in the NICU, and I had to put a lot of trust in the doctors and the nurses and the respiratory therapists and all the people who were taking care of her. By now, you know that I'm a talker. So I talked about her, and we updated people, and we shared pictures of her, and everyone would listen. So she kept growing. There were hiccups and there were bad days, but we were getting further and further along that rope. She was loved and she was supported and she was followed online by a bunch of family. She had more followers than I did. people from school and summer camp and church and the library down the street, they all showed up. And every time there was an issue, every time we fell a little, we trusted the doctors, and the net was there. And she kept growing. And we were finally maybe starting to get ready to be more confident, and we were getting closer to the end of bringing her home, closer than we had ever been before. And then the rope snapped, and Kylan died. And there's this moment in tragedy where everything sort of happens in slow motion. And I looked down and I realized there was no net. The doctors were not fixing it this time. But in that moment, I also noticed that all of my family and friends and people from school and people from this church, not the library down the street in this case, but all of those people were right there, ready to catch me. And they did. And this will have happened 6 years ago this week, and people are still catching me every day. So why am I telling you this story? Well, because right now in our lives, I know some of us feel like we are tightrope walking. Some of us feel like we're tightrope walking on a wobbly rope. You? Maybe. Some of us feel like we're tightrope walking on a wobbly rope while holding a hula hoop. You? Okay, some of us feel like we're tightrope walking on a wobbly rope while holding a hula hoop, and that hula hoop is on fire. Okay, and some of us feel like we're tightrope walking on a wobbly rope while holding a hula hoop that's on fire over a pool of alligators. Okay, a lot of hands. And then there's some of us in the world who feel like the tightrope has already snapped. And maybe we feel like there's no safety net. I got one more slide. Because no matter how far we have to fall, we do have a safety net. We show up for each other. We have each other. We trust each other. We trust our families and our friends, and maybe even the people from the library down the street. We will catch each other together. That's not just a free pass. That's not the end of the story. That's the end of right now, because I know I've taken a lot of time. But the other side of being trusted is showing up. And I'll probably come up here and talk about that another day. But for now, I've got some things to balance, and I trust my kids to come with me to class. Thank you.
You are the net. So please join me as we build the net in take our offering, acknowledging all the ways that we give to this church and to this world. We give because this is our church, our community, and we build and sustain the net that supports us all. We value what it does for us, what it does to us and through us, to our community and world. May there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this church inside and outside our walls. Thank you for your offerings and all the ways you give to our life and ministry with your treasures, your time, your talent, and your trust. Together, our gifts allow us to expand and strengthen the tapestry of love, wonder, and connection that blesses this church and transforms us and our world. Our first reading today is from You Can't Be Neutral on a Moving Train by Howard Zinn. To be hopeful in bad times is not just foolishly romantic. It is based on the fact that human history is a history not only of cruelty, but also of compassion, sacrifice, courage, and kindness. What we choose to emphasize in this complex history will determine our lives. If we see only the worst, it destroys our capacity to do something. If we remember those times and places, and there are so many of them, where people have behaved magnificently, this gives us the energy to act, and at least the possibility of sending this spinning top of a world in a different direction. And if we do act, in however small a way, we don't have to wait for some grand utopian future. The future is an infinite succession of presents, present like now. And to live now as we think human beings should live, in defiance of all that is bad around us, is itself a marvelous victory. Now we'll enjoy some music by the choir.
That's it. That was the sermon. I absolutely love that outstanding song by Holly Near. How does she do it? How does she stay open to the world when there's hurting in our families, sorrow in our towns, when there's panic in our nation and wailing the whole world round? How do we stay open and willing, open to hope, open to change, open to healing and resistance? How do we keep from shutting down, putting our hands over our ears and just screaming? How do we protect ourselves and our world at the same time? Holly Near needs a mighty oak to hold her confusion, a vast desert to hold her fears, a sunset like the one we saw on Friday. Did you see that? To hold her wonder, and an ocean to hold her tears. What do you need for your feelings? A volcano to hold your anger. Yes. A river to carry your passion and spread it around. An iceberg to hold your depression. A whole dang sky to hold your overwhelm. One of the things I'm sure of is that there is nothing in this world that can make me shut down more than overwhelm. It fires me up temporarily, then it exhausts me, and then it shuts me down. Leaders in the resistance are reminding us that this is for the long haul, so we need to rest. We need to find joy together, and we need to cover each other's backs. We need to be the net for each other. Like that reminder that goes around every few years with this beautiful example by this choir, we have to practice staggered breathing if we want the notes to sound good. There's more than one of us. We can stagger our rest, stagger our work to keep the whole thing going longer. This is part of why humans have been around for so long. We take turns looking out and resting and making sure there's always fresh eyes on the threat. We cannot, any one of us, we cannot go it alone, especially now. So yes, we need to rest and recover, and especially, I really need to point this out, we need to find joy. We need to be able to laugh and play together even as we move towards justice. We even have to laugh and play together as we grieve, as we did this morning's story. Because the world can wear us down. We can build ourselves up again when we know whimsy and when we're figuring out puzzles. We build ourselves back up when we wear costumes and do silly dances. We make up silly and poignant songs and play games. Personally, when looking for the right group of people to throw my hat in with, I know I've found them when they don't take themselves too seriously. I love and appreciate elegance and beauty as much as the next person. But if we sacrifice silly for elegance, I am not there for that. If we sacrifice comfort for beauty, I am not there for that either. When I look for people to trust, the ones who live their truth authentically, hearts on their sleeves, trying hard and apologizing when they make mistakes, when I look for those people, I know I found them when they give each other grace with humor and humanness. The people who would rather make fun of themselves than someone who doesn't hold power in any situation. These are my people. There is so much power in silly, exuberant love. A parenting lesson I've had to learn too many times, honestly, is that kids, people, are more likely to cooperate with you if you're playing with them than demanding they do something for you. Morning after morning, we struggle with getting ready to leave for school. I wish that I could just tell them, I'm tired. Can you please just put your clothes on? Please. But the days we actually get out the door on time are the days that I make a game of getting ready. Who will win the getting the shoes on race? Oh, it's gonna be me, I promise. It's me getting my shoes on. Wait, does this shirt, does it go on my foot? On my elbow? How do we apply this to regular adult life? Well, you might have noticed that the last 4 weeks we've done a skit to playfully help you remember why we need to pledge to support this church. Silly, yes, but still informative. Did some of you roll your eyes? Yes, of course. Maybe, though, you wouldn't have been as motivated by a dry speech about percentages and fair share giving. You remember Amy in the car with the funny glasses, and maybe that reminds you that these are your people. These are the people we're here to support. So how do we stay open and willing? How do we commit to not giving up hope, because being hopeless would be so strange? How do we honor those who come before us? We care for ourselves and those around us. We mobilize in the ways that we can. I am not in a position to refuse to comply with the government mandates, but I'm not working for the government, but I am able to write and call and let those who represent me know that I expect them to refuse to comply with executive orders that are against the law. I am not able to get to Washington, D.C. this week to participate in different actions scheduled in the next few days to protest the actions of this administration, but I am in a position to show up at the Capitol here on Tuesday, marching from Monroe Park to Capitol Square starting at 10 a.m. You're invited. I am not in a position to boycott Google, unfortunately. Too much of my daily work life runs through Google and Gmail. But I am in a position to do economic boycotts like Friday's total blackout and the upcoming specific boycotts of Amazon and other big brands. I am not in a position to give a lot of money to campaigns of candidates that are running to fill House seats in special elections, but I am in a position to give my neighbors gifts of food and clothes and help for what they need. Through my local Buy Nothing group, through meeting my neighbors. Did you know Buy Nothing was founded as a mutual aid organization? If you're not part of a Buy Nothing group, I invite you to do so, because then you can learn how you can help. I am not in a position to run for office, but I can be part of a coalition trying to influence our local government by showing up for the Risk Nehemiah action in 3 weeks. I probably won't be the one in front of a large crowd rallying them for a fight, but I am the one standing here before you, trying to give you hope and energy and remind you of your obligations of compassion and justice. I am the one who will marry you for free if you're part of the LGBTQ or immigrant communities and need legal protection for marriage. I may not be doing everything, but I am doing all that I can do, and I encourage you to do the same. There are many ways to be open and willing. There are many ways to be in this revolt, and not all of them are for everyone. Find the ways that you can participate, some days acting and some days resting, because remember, we need to hold each other to get through this the best we can. We've got to trust ourselves that we can take flight when the branch is unsteady beneath us. We have the wings. we have the skills, the support of others around us to sing with confidence because we can take flight, so we don't need to fear the fall. Each of us have within us what we need to make this world the one we dream about, if only we let our light shine. So let's sing about it. Rise in body or spirit to sing This Little Light of Mine, I'm Gonna Let It Shine, number 118, in our gray hardback hymnal. All right, reach out to one another. Remember, we are the net. We are the net.
Go net.
When you go, try to stay open and willing. When you go, go in peace. Salam and shalom.
Leave this place knowing that you are good and knowing that you are loved.
Take your dark and your light and your love from this place and share them with the world. And stay safe until we meet again. Amen. Thank you, everyone.
Great service. Wonderful. That's it.